All right, we are now joined by our fastest Toyota driver of the number 11 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota, Denny Hamlin. We will start questions with Jordan Bianchi and then come up here to Jacob.
Jordan Bianchi with the Athletic to your left. From the outside, it certainly seems like the Toyotas have an advantage, sweep the duels, practice today. Is that the case, or is that just kind of the way things have worked out?
Yeah, it's more the way it worked out for sure. We had a big tow from another manufacturer pack of cars, and that really plays in a big factor into what kind of lap times you run and whatnot. When there weren't as many cars out there, we ran about the same speed as everyone else.
Have you identified a favorite for Sunday's race, Monday's race?
There are none in this race. I mean, yeah, there is no favorite in this race.
All right, Jacob, and then Matt Weaver.
Jacob Seelman, Raceface Digital. Denny, Christopher talked about it a little bit after his dual win last night, but I'm curious your thoughts. Compared to last year with some of the body updates that you guys have had, what have you noticed any specific areas where you can feel a difference compared to last year in the draft with the new body this year?
Yes and no. I mean, it's very similar to what we had in the past. I think, how you connect to cars and how long you can stay attached is really circumstantial to what kind of technique you use to get there, and then do you have enough push coming from behind. Maybe I noticed that I can get pushed a little bit straighter than what it was in the past, but it's tough for me to say. It's still not enough time and data points to really pinpoint what exactly is different.
Was there ever any internal concern as far as the Toyota camp after how rough qualifying was Wednesday that, you guys were maybe in a rough position, or was there kind of a general belief that the race pace was going to be there?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of knew we were not going to be very good in the single car qualifying. I don't think anyone thought it was going to be that bad for sure. But obviously it put our concerns to rest when it obviously raced well, right? So I think there's just a balance. Sometimes you have to strike there.
Matt Weaver, Sportsnot. You've said a lot over the last 2 years that with this new car and the new way of racing on super speedways that maybe you've lost a little bit of what you had in the previous car. And I'm curious, over the last 2 years, the dual, have you started to figure that out, and what's changed in the style of racing from Gen 6 to Gen 7?
Yeah, for sure. I think certainly it's an evolution. You got to continue to change because these cars, the next gen cars, do draft so much differently than what we saw with the Gen 6 cars. Obviously, you saw 2x2 racing. You're going to see that for the bulk of tomorrow or Sunday as well. So it's just these next-gen cars have a lot of drag in them, which is why we qualify 20 miles an hour slower than what we used to. So with that, you really got to stay in line for the bulk of the race. If there's no real opportunities, once you establish whether you're on the inside or the outside, there's no real opportunities to make moves like you used to. So you got to just be patient and try to cycle up to the front through strategy, or pick the right lane when another lane starts to bobble, right? So it's just different in that aspect. So it takes a little more patience with next gen.
Bob Pockris.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. So after the duels and after today, do you have a good sense of what you can and can't do with this new body?
I do. I feel like, I started continuing pushing the limits of pushing throughout on the on-track time. Certainly yesterday, I got a little bit, I really didn't lock on with anyone or push anyone for most of the race. There was a few instances, but then, now it's Friday, getting closer to the Sunday, I'm starting to push the limits of how far can I go, how hard can I push, and how long can I push. I feel pretty good about my understanding of that now.
And, I mean, you threw a block there on McDowell there late that I would guess probably wouldn't.
Yeah, it was late, for sure.
Yeah, so, how do you judge, okay, this worked in the duel, but I know on Sunday it might end differently?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's a little different situation because I know McDowell has to protect his car, so you can kind of put those guys in a little different spot because they are in protection mode. But certainly, going back and watching it, I didn't realize the run was as big as it was, and it was certainly a very, very late block from my end. So you watch it, you learn, and you try to figure out how you can do it better.
All right, right up here.
John Newby, NBC Sports. So you said, with super speedway racing being more of a strategy game at this point, is that, I guess, frustrating as a driver? Do you have to kind of find not joy in a different sense? Have to find a way to enjoy that strategy part?
Yeah, I mean, you have to embrace it for sure. I think that strategy has become such a big deal on the super speedways because we're running so much slower than what we were before. Although the speeds may show fast today in practice, a lot of that is because how tight we're able to be with each other. If the cars had less drag, they would run faster by themselves and probably, arguably, not run as fast in a pack. So you do have to, you have to suck it up and embrace that this is more strategy racing than it is craft racing. Now, it's craft down towards the end. It certainly, when the pack starts going crazy and the air starts getting disturbed, you got to figure out the right lane to be in. But for the 95% of the race, it is all strategy, and people are just trying to spend the least amount of time on pit road as they can, save fuel, and not get out of line because the detriment and the drag of the car will take you to last.
Any final questions? We'll go back up to Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. So what is the balance between saving fuel and wanting to be up at the front, burning more fuel, but controlling things? How's that formula changed?
Yeah, I think that you're not going to, if you save fuel, you're not going to go backwards because no one's able to pull out and pass because they will get, you try to start a third line, it's going to be really impossible. So what it allows you to do is just run 10th and just sit there and just run half throttle and save fuel because you have no ambitions of going forward because you're not going to go forward unless you're pushing your line to try to get your entire line free, which that doesn't happen. It's a yo-yo effect. You've seen constantly, it's just the inside line, then the outside, and they just keep doing that back and forth until someone pulls down or pulls up. So you're not going anywhere, so you just slow down by running half throttle. So where in the old car, if you did that, whoever's behind you is just going to go and pull out past you and pull back in line because the car's had less drag. So I think this is the whole new ball game of fuel strategy and all that. This is a next gen thing. It's not, the teams have just gotten smarter over time. We're racing what we've got.
This weekend's race may be incredible, but with that type of strategy and what you're talking about, for in essence the sport to kick off the biggest race, does it make sense that maybe the sport looks at creating something like that old rules policy where you can get out a little bit more to prevent the notion of, I don't want to say running because I know you guys are going 180, 190 miles per hour, you're still working, but the notion of just running in place and saving fuel in what's supposed to be the biggest race of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, listen, this type of racing, this is Mike Ford's dream in his statistical world, because we just keep going like this. No one's really passing anyone. We're just doing this, and he's counting every time we do that. So I don't know if he's in the room, but they say you're upstairs, Mike. I love you, buddy. Yeah. Don't be surprised if you see a world record amount of passes in the Daytona 500 tomorrow.
All right, thanks for the time, Denny.
All right, y'all had enough of me.